That's your real last name, Goldlist?
Yeah.
That's a sick last name.
Thanks.
No problem.
I didn't have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
Have you ever defended a cop?
Sick.
Does it become like
Yes.
a playoff series where you're like, okay, against this guy, I'm like 5 cases up. This guy got me on the last one. Like,
Wait, for the audience who's in the know, I guess there's an elephant in the room. In the form of DJ Natural Wav. Right? Natural Wav got a little bit of a...
Okay, so
That's
basically,
still going in the trailer reel.
You guys are spending your time and effort on. This is how you get views and clicks. Like,
well, hold on.
why doesn't anybody want to like bring each other up?
Wait, hold
where
on.
everybody wants to bring each other down. But as a defense lawyer who has to like look at autopsy photos and shooting reports and deal with the fallout of what happens at crash out culture, it makes me sad. That's that like you're gonna work behind the scenes to get his daughter impregnated. you gotta understand that like that is escalating things very, very quickly.
I think what I learned from this is that you're more like Drake than you are like Kendrick.
First of all, him running is a problem. It's
Yeah.
consciousness of guilt.
Yeah.
It shows that he's got something to run from.
Say that again. Say that again. What's
When
that?
you run away, it's called consciousness of guilt.
Consciousness of
Yes.
guilt.
And so
hence
we're
the
gonna end up
option.
in- yeah.
Where people go and say, well, then I may as well go get the gun instead.
Again, I'm not endorsing that. Oh my God. The Law Society is going to be sending me a letter this week.
We
love hip hop.
Content is more important than the actual music itself at this point. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Welcome. We got Jordana Goldlist in the building. Hold on, let me put my air horns on there.
mad.
that's your real last name, Goldlist?
Yeah.
That's a sick last name.
Thanks.
No problem.
I didn't have to do anything for it.
Yeah. I was like, did you choose
I
that?
just got
Is it like
bored.
a nickname?
No.
Like a rap name?
No.
Goldlist.
No.
My list is golden.
That's my father's name and his
So-
whole lineage.
It just sounds like a last name wired for success. Like if your last name's Goldlist, it's like you're gonna succeed. Like,
My bad. Yeah. I was trying to get my sound effects figured out here. But welcome.
Thank you.
Criminal defense lawyer. Listen, at this point, you're like a We Love Hip Hop regular, I will call you.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We
yeah.
always have good conversations.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm happy
yes.
to be back. Thank you for having me.
Right. So I want to just get straight into our pre-topics. You know what I'm saying? We've done a great interview. When was the interview that we did? Like 2-3 years ago now?
I think we did the first one 2-3 years ago. And
Yeah.
then last year too, we did another one at your other location.
Right. So if anybody wants to get like the full life story and like the play-by-play of like the history of Jordana Goldlist, please go back to the old interview
Yes.
and then you guys will be able to get everything. But since we have an interview out of the way, I love having you come back over and just chop it up about different things that are going on in the scene. So welcome.
Thank you
welcome.
for having me. Let's
So
do this.
I have a pre-topic for us here. Okay. Canada's dirtiest cop. So one thing,
we got to go through the Rolodex. and pick one.
and we got another like dirty cop story later on in the podcast. So stay tuned.
Police say there are 3 convicted drug traffickers in this photo. There's also 1 Winnipeg police officer, Elston Bostock. That photo and this one of
Watch
him
him.
posing at a crime scene are from hundreds of pages of search warrant documents CBC has gotten about the now disgraced constable. Bostock was sentenced in January to 7 years in prison after admitting to years of corruption and other crimes. He's also been removed from the force. We already knew from his sentencing that concerns about him dated back 15 years before his arrest. But search warrant documents shed light on exactly what police knew about Bostock. Those details were under a publication ban, but that ban was lifted after CBC successfully fought it in court. The documents say the first red flag was raised back in 2009, when an informant told police a drug trafficker was being assisted in the sale of drugs by a dirty cop. The informant later confirmed that cop was named Elston, a name police say no other officers had. But without other evidence, that investigation was suspended. Information about Bostock continued to come in after that, sometimes through police sources, and in one case through an unrelated wiretap investigation. Police heard about an officer selling and using drugs, sharing police information, and associating with criminals. In 2013, a source told police about an officer named
Bear
Elston
on the screen.
hanging around with drug traffickers who talked about having a cop in their pocket. One of them said it was a great business move to party with a cop
Wow.
because Elston could provide protection from other dealers as well as from being popped by the cops.
Ooh.
They said if they do get popped, they have dirt on the cop, including proof that he's a dirty cop because he snorts with them. By 2018, police got enough information about Bostock to try to get permission to record data from his phone. But a judge denied that application, saying she wasn't satisfied there were reasonable grounds.
Wow.
Bostock continued to serve on the force until he was arrested in 2024. The search warrant documents
my
also
anxiety's
describe
going up
more
right
than
now.
a dozen items police seized from Bostock's home, including someone's private journal and a box of Ozempic, apparently taken from 2 deaths police responded to. 3 other officers were also charged alongside Bostock for a variety of offenses that police say happened while they were partnered with Bostock.
Hey, Bostock gotta keep that tummy flat. You know what I'm saying?
But they're taking it from dead people. Okay.
Hey, the Ozempic's still alive.
True. Okay, just quickly before I ask you guys any questions, I just need to get a couple of jokes off. Like, is his name Bostock? Because that's if his name is Bostock, you know that whoever gang that he was down with, they had mad nicknames for him. Big Boss, Talking Boss. I don't know. You guys got any more? He was sniffing a lot of coke. I don't know. It was like Coke Boss or some shit. You know, they had mad names for him. But
yeah, they definitely had a lot of nicknames for him. I'm not going to think of any right now because I feel like you covered a lot of them. But this is pretty crazy.
Yes. And there's a lot of cover up in this right here. What do y'all think?
I mean, the fact that there's a CI who gives information from him and they decide that's not enough to investigate. Like the number of my clients who get investigated and subjected to search warrants, tracking warrants, cell phone warrants, like the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Based on one CI tip, they get a CI tip and they're just like, oh no, sorry, nothing here to see. Like,
wow.
That to me is sort of the first red flag of many.
Yeah.
To have a judge deny a warrant in these circumstances as well after you have like 2 or 3 CI tips.
Yeah.
Again, like, yeah. I don't know how far up the food chain this goes, but it doesn't stop with this guy.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Based on your interactions with like police corruption in the legal system, do you find that the courts give police officers preferential treatment usually?
Absolutely.
Or is yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Absolutely. It takes a
little
lot.
closer.
It takes a lot for a judge to find that an officer has lied, and it takes even more to find that they have done something that borders on corruption. Planting evidence, for example, stealing money, things of that nature. Like, we in the defense bar know it's happening over and over and over again. And there are crown attorneys who know it's happening over and over again, but they have to like play both sides, right?
Yeah.
The government signs their paychecks.
Mhm.
So they might know, outside of the courtroom, they'll be like, yeah, I know that some of this money went missing. But when they're in the court, they have to do their job.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you think it's kind of like another way to, in a way, like keep the peace, in the sense of like, if there's case after case of being proved that our police is corrupted and like the law is corrupted, the government is corrupted, wouldn't we kind of like lose faith in the system and like lose faith in the people that are supposed to serve and protect us?
Like, I think that might be, an overall consideration for people. But the reality is, like, those on the streets know that the police are corrupt, right? They know when the cops stole their money. Like, they're coming to me and they're being like, no, miss, it wasn't $30,000 in that shoebox. It was a suitcase and I had $300,000. Where's the rest of my money? Like, they know when the police have taken their money. And when it happens again and again and again, you already have people losing faith in the system, right? And so we know that this is going on. The failure to address it, I think, is what causes so much distress, and it's been happening for decades and generations.
I feel like it's because I've been a victim to this as well. Like, I last read, but I think it's because it's quote unquote criminals,
right,
that are losing money. So if they were to say, "Oh, they stole from me," it's kind of like when the crazy person tells the truth, it's like, "Oh, he's crazy. No one needs to listen to him." It's like,
yeah,
oh,
you don't need to believe him.
Yeah, he's a criminal. Like, who cares what he's saying? Type thing.
And, if it was one off, I can understand that. But every time with like certain police forces, and then when you break it down, it's even like certain police like teams, right? You have certain squads of drug officers that are just doing this again and again and again. And it takes so much for them to finally, get caught. And when they do, you have situations like what we just saw where it's like one fall guy
Exactly.
in a whole group that is acting in concert. Yeah.
Crazy. What about the way that he was just so blatant with it? Have you ever seen that? Because this is not in Toronto, this is in Winnipeg, right? But like the way he was so blatant with the pictures and stuff like that. Like, why is it that these guys are able to get to that point? Do they just not have any regard for the law because they are the law?
Well, that clip that we just saw was like 15 years in the making.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you're just like comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that just happens on all sides, right? Like I have so many clients that get comfortable and start doing silly things and not watching themselves. Like the cops are no different. And I think they're worse because they're protected by the badge and protected by their colleagues. Like if nobody's calling him out, then he just thinks he can act with impunity.
And just take pictures with his gun, and the gangs that have access to that. Like you just don't care that much. Like to me, that's like an indictment on the whole system.
Everyone right now is taking photos of everything.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't have a single case in which some of the worst evidence against my client is the shit on his own phone.
And I was about to ask that as well. Like with the advancements of technology, is it like harder for you to do your job?
Yes.
Like because how long have you been practicing?
15 years.
Oh man, so you've seen.
Yes. So it used to be that like one of the greatest defenses I could run was an identification defense. So saying like you got the wrong guy, it's not my guy.
It's like a grainy surveillance video.
Yeah, now it's HD quality. I can see like
4K.
hair growth that's just starting to come out. Like it's really and it's funny. I was just looking at surveillance video this morning for a case where a guy walked up to enter into a club, no mask. So you could fully see his face.
Wow.
And then 2.5 hours later, decided he was going to get into an altercation with the bouncer. So he goes around the side of the club, like that's going to matter because there's video there. Gets masked up with his, COVID mask on and his hood, and his buddy's putting his t-shirt on his head.
Got up to Spider-Man mode.
and they're wearing the same thing, right? Yeah. Like they're still wearing their distinctive Gucci outfits. And then they approach and they pull a gun, and you can see the gun on the CCTV footage. And it's like, buddy, 2.5 hours ago you were showing your ID with no mask,
rocking the one-on-one outfit.
Like and I think people just don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
Most people aren't thinking that like everywhere they go, at least in downtown Toronto, like you are under surveillance.
Yeah. I think Toronto is like one of those cities that are in the top 10 of having CCTV surveillance. You know what I'm saying? I have one other question on this corrupt cop, right? Before we start the pod. Have you ever defended a cop before?
No, won't do it.
Has one try to come to you for defense and you have to tell him nah, kick rocks?
Yes.
Can you tell us that story, please?
It's really simple. I just don't defend cops on anything. Like I think, I've had calls for like cops that are charged with domestics and cops that are charged with bar fights. Just cops get into trouble from time to time. I have not had one contact me for a corruption case. There's a very select group of defense lawyers who are always tapped to defend cops.
X-Files sound.
Yeah.
Is it just more difficult to defend cops, or is it a principle thing where you're like, I'm not defending them? Yeah.
No, it's principle.
Okay.
My other clients would lose their mind if they thought I'm going to defend a corrupt cop because I'm often challenging police conduct in court.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's some crossroads in life where you got to pick a side.
That's a super conflict of interest for your other clients.
It is. I can understand why they would be distressful. So it's like, I represent hundreds, if not thousands of individuals that are on the other side of the law. And I'm not going to risk losing that relationship and that trust and that loyalty by defending like one bad cop for what? Like, so that I can get my name in the paper, like that doesn't interest me.
Yeah, it can get sticky.
Yeah.
Whenever you come into contact with a member of the police force, are they like, ugh, Jordana? Like, are you just like knowing the police in that like annoying way? It's like, here's Jordana again.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know what they say behind my back. I imagine it's not pleasant.
Is that the vibe though when you see that?
I've had some police officers leave the courtroom like mumbling, like fucking bitch. And that to me is just like a badge of honor, right? Like if that means I'm doing my job. If I've upset a cop in court, now when I'm like out on the street, I'm respectful. Like I have no reason not to be. I don't come with attitude. We all have a job to do, and if they're doing their job properly and I'm doing my job properly, there shouldn't be any issues. That's just the system. It's a checks and balances system, and we all have to work together. At the end of the day, like, I don't want to be the victim of a home invasion. I don't want to be the victim of a carjacking. Like, I don't want to get raped. Like, that's the reality of life, and we need police in order to make sure that there's like some sort of checks on society. So, you know, I don't walk around with a fuck the police attitude throughout my day. I look at each case on its own terms, and if the police have done something to my client that they shouldn't, they've, you know, breached his constitutional rights, they've stolen from him, whatever the case may be, I'll take them to task on that case. But that's where it, you know, starts and stops for me.
They just walk around with a fuck Jordana attitude towards you.
I don't, you know what? I don't have that. Like, I don't have that in our dealings. Like, I don't know what to say behind my back. But when they call me when my clients are in custody, like, they're respectful. And, you know, sometimes like I have to ask one cop to contact another to find out information so I can provide proper rights to counsel with my client. Like, they don't give me a difficult time with it. And again, I think it's a question of how I treat them when we're not, you know, when I'm not cross-examining them.
Are there specific officers that are like recurring in your cases that you always come across? Like, oh, there's Officer Wiggins again.
Yes.
Why you got to be Officer Wiggins?
In each jurisdiction too. Like, there's the bad ones in Hamilton, the bad ones in Brampton, the bad ones in Toronto. Like, and you just see their names, you're like, oh yeah, no, I know this is gonna.
You know what kind of paperwork he does.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you could probably see patterns like, oh, bro, you always fuck up your paperwork, and this is why my client's gonna win.
Yes. Yeah. You always forget to give them rights to counsel. You always forget to like properly back the evidence. Somehow it goes missing.
Does it become like a playoff series where you're like, okay, against this guy, I'm like 5 cases up. This guy got me on the last one. Like, I'd imagine you'd start like keeping track. Or it's like,
I'm 5-1 against this guy.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and sometimes it's like calling other associates who like used to work for me. It's like, guess what? I got a case with so-and-so again.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a hat trick on this guy right here. Okay, let's get the show started here. It's big salute to Jordana here on our panel. I think we're gonna have some great conversation. I'm gonna take it back in the days since one of our topics is like the 2012 YNs versus 2026 YNs. Let me take it back in the days. Don't get close. No more Unk music for you guys, man. Jeez. No more Crown music for us.
Crown music.
Let's get into it, man. We are Box, the world's most smoked out podcast. We love hip hop. I'm your host of the most toast, Friday Ricky Dread, aka No Federal Rick, aka no more AKAs for the day, man. I'm gonna save my AKAs for another day. We are back. We Love Hip Hop Studios, episode 669. We got back in the building, the Turkish Thrill. You might see him behind the wheels of steel, taking your request at any spot that you might see him at. You might see him at the political rallies, mics in the cop's face, taking no shit. We got DJ Czar in the motherfucking building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. DJ Czar. Let me get that horn. AKA Burl Sound. AKA Cheeseburger. AKA Young Shawarma. AKA Zarly Kirk. AKA Coffee Poppy with the T. AKA The Ruiner. Back at it like a crack addict.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What's
sir.
good?
Welcome back.
You're not doing your fantastic.
Dr. Fantastic, not today.
There's a lady in there.
We have a lady in here, bro. Gotta be polite.
Right? Well, welcome back, sir. Welcome back. Always in rare form, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, brother. Thank you. And, you know, next to him, I introduced her before, but I'm going to introduce her again, okay? Criminal defense lawyer to everybody except for the cops and the diddlers and you all our word guys. You guys got to get out of here. She's not taking your work, okay? But you might
like in the peds.
No, trust me. We've had conversations about that one before.
We have.
That's a no-no.
Yes.
But you might see her in the courtroom, winning cases, racking up the W's, okay? You might see her on her own podcast, all right? Racking up the views. I see you passed that 10,000 streams the other day too, or 10,000 downloads. So salute to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Much appreciated.
we have criminal defense lawyer extraordinaire, Jordana Goldlist in the motherfucking building. Let's go. Everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. I don't have an AKA. I just have Jordana Goldlist, but I am honestly so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hold on. You're telling me no client's ever given you an AKA? Like, yo, I don't know what kind of, like, for the winning cases kind of AKA.
I mean, listen, I get goat, I get pitbull, I get all kinds of like commentary for sure, but I'll leave that up to them. For me, I'm just gonna introduce myself as Jordana Goldlist.
Okay,
but thank you for having me.
AKA the goat. Or the goat.
So you say you're Jewish?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything crazy. I just couldn't really tell because you're super tatted.
Yes.
Yeah, but I haven't really met a lot of Jewish people that are like tatted up. Like
yeah, we're not supposed to.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You couldn't tell by the last name Goldlist? I knew right away. I thought you were Portuguese at first, but the moment you said your last name, I was like, okay, like most likely.
Yeah. But we also have next to Jordana the troublemaker himself. You might see him on the social media screens, either turning it up on his own page or somebody taking shots at him
for no reason.
Hold on, gunshots.
Bang, bang.
Sound effects are actually slow today. You might see him behind the wheels of steel at the jam, turning up the party. We have DJ and content creator extraordinaire, DJ Natural Wav in the motherfucking building. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes. We had 7 million views in the last 30 days.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, within TikTok and Instagram, you know. So we getting there. We getting there.
Damn,
yeah,
bro.
It's going crazy. It's going crazy.
Damn, and they saying you ain't got no motion.
That's what they're saying, man.
Oh man, but welcome back,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for coming through, Jordana. I think we're gonna have a great episode here today.
I think so
man.
too.
Before we get into anything, let me give a quick salute to the sponsors, and then we can get into what we got to get into. Starting with Exotic Hot Pot, from high grade strain to authentic grabber, and all the rolling essentials. Exotic Hot Pot is about elevating your smoking sessions in true 5-star fashion. If you want delivery of that in the GTA, hit them up on their Instagram page. That's Exotic Hot Pot. Or you can hit them up on their website. That's exotichotpot.ca. Let them know that the We Love Hip Hop boys sent you, and they give you a fat discount. Also, if you want to get your cars detailed, go over to Road Ready Detailing. That's 750 Oakdale Road, Unit 66. Okay, you can get your cars detailed. You can get your cars tinted, ceramics. They're doing the helmet specials right now for one, now that it's getting warm. Okay, hit them up on their Instagram page. That's Toronto Road Ready Detailing. Or, just go in there, 750 Oakdale Road, Unit 66. If you see Dusty Wallace, tell him that the We Love Hip Hop boy sent you, and he'll definitely give you a discount. Last but not least, big salute to Grabba. If you need some of that blem, hit up Grabba. They got the Grabba shakers. They got the Grabba leaf in the packages. Okay. And they got delivery in the GTA. Hit them up on their Instagram page. That's grabba.ca, and let them know that the We Love Hip Hop boy sent you, and they'll give you a discount. Sane. Lady and gentlemen, right? How's y'all weeks been? Starting with you, DJ Czar, what you been into this week? What's been going on with you, brother?
I just finished up that documentary I showed you about the opioid crisis in Toronto. So I interviewed a gentleman who's like a ex-addict, and he pretty much we have like a 5-part series. It's like 30 minutes each episode.
Okay.
And it's just pretty much highlighting his journey through the streets, the nature of opioid addiction in Toronto, the role of pharmaceutical companies, and the inaccessibility of rehab and other resources that can kind of mitigate the drug crisis. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you had it like as a 2-hour piece before, so you're breaking it into a 5-piece now.
Yeah, like I still want to release the full 2.5-hour documentary, but it would be more digestible in like 5 parts, and I could kind of make it like a series. So yeah, big up Adrian Stein, dope mocktails is his company.
Okay, salute.
Yeah, that's just what I've been working out.
I watched some of it. It was pretty good still. He was going through it though. Like as I was listening to his story, I'm like, damn. I'm not gonna give too much away, but basically he got to a point where I think the heroin wasn't like getting him high, so he had to like take heroin so he wouldn't withdraw, and then he would take another drug on top of the heroin just so he could get high.
That's crazy.
I'm like, damn, that's what men are doing out here.
That's literally what ends up happening. And especially if you throw fentanyl in there, now like you're gonna be hooked. And it's like, even with alcohol, addiction, withdrawal is pretty intense. So with drugs like heroin, it's like you could die, bro.
for
Like
real.
Amy Winehouse, I'm pretty sure she died from alcohol withdrawal.
Yeah, and I think she was also on doing heroin too, if I'm not mistaken. Like, cause she looked crazy skinny by the time she was dying. Like when at the end,
Really?
that wasn't just, I don't know. I can't just see that as just being alcohol affecting her body that way. You know what I'm saying? But you never know. You never know. But welcome back. Welcome back. Jordana, you know, we're just doing our regular pod thing here. So how's your week been? Let us know before we get into our topics.
My week's been great. I'm actually really excited to see that documentary as well. I on my page this week, I featured a teaser for my podcast with Melissa Landsman, where one of the things we talked about is how much money the government is spending right now on the safe injection sites and giving people these like crack pipes and meth pipes.
Yeah.
It's almost $1 million a day.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
In Canada, Ontario?
In Canada.
Oh my God.
$360 million a year is being poured
Holy.
into safe drug use. Safe drug use.
That's
So like,
crazy.
how is there a safe fentanyl supply? Like,
And
it's
it's-
fentanyl. It's not safe.
And it's funny because they put this money into it, but they're making the safe zones the public libraries and
Yes.
stuff. So it's like they're not even creating new sites or anything. They're putting it where the children are.
I know.
So-
And no rehabs. There's no money's getting poured into rehab, detox, like nothing to actually help people like leave that lifestyle. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What I
it's-
learned is that rehab is super expensive. So only like the privileged of society can afford rehab. It's like a band a day. It's like $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you're going through detox and stuff, it's even more. So the government's not going to be able to provide that for each individual.
Yeah.
So I feel like what they're trying to do is mitigate the cost on the healthcare system, because if they don't spend that money on safe injection sites or clean needle kits, that can result in like more money being spent on dealing with, you know, diseases transmitted through shared needles and like other, you know, negative aspects of drug addiction. But it's kind of like
It's like ass
damned if you do,
backward, man.
damned if you don't.
Yeah, like I feel like they're really taking the approach from the wrong direction.
What is the right direction about it? Because I know in Portugal, you know, they decriminalized drugs and apparently that lessened the demand for it or even the usage. But I don't know. Then you look at like BC, which is damn near decriminalized, and they're just a street full of like junkies, you know?
There
Like,
always was, but it's like way worse now.
Yeah. Like,
And
they've
it's
taken over,
problems
like-
really exacerbated.
Yeah, if you go on Hastings like in 2026, that is the closest thing to Skid Row that you'll pretty much see.
Yeah.
Yeah, on certain days it's probably even worse.
In Canada, yeah.
Yeah.
It rivals LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and plug your podcast as well before we
So my podcast is called Who Judges the Judge?
Yes.
And it's all about changing the way we judge the world around us. And so I
Mhm.
try to have guests on who have a unique backstory or who are dealing with unique social problems that you wouldn't necessarily expect and try to show what they have done in order to better themselves and their community.
Yeah.
So the hope is to try to give people value and insight into lives that they wouldn't ordinarily be exposed to.
No,
I love
that's
that.
dope. That's
So
dope.
Who Judges the Judge on all platforms.
Yeah, yeah. No, make sure to go
Thank
check
you.
that out. I've anytime I see like a clip on Instagram, it's always something that I feel like I could bring this up on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
useful
Yeah.
information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's what I'm trying to bring. Because there's like such a divide in our society between
Mhm.
like the people who know what's going on and the people who just judge what's going on. And it's like
Yeah.
you don't actually know until you hear from someone who's living that life. So,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and you always have interesting guests. So,
Thank you.
So salute to you and again, welcome.
Thanks.
DJ Natural Wave, what you got going on? How's your week been?
My week's been cool.
Well, listen, let's get into our topics over here. Starting with K2, okay? K2, aka Mr. Go Get It. He is the gentleman who got arrested couple of days ago now from when we're filming this. He was arrested in Calgary. You know, I need to give you a little bit of context, Jordana, just so that you can see who I'm talking about. He goes by the name of Isaiah Badger. Let me see if I can find here. He got good SEO on YouTube here. If you could pull this up on the screen over here, one take, Jake. So this gentleman right here, and I'll play this is from a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely brazen
Courtesy of Crime
daylight
Beat TV.
shootings.
Police announcing the names of the suspects they're seeking in 2 unexplained murders in the GTA earlier this year. On February 7th in mid-afternoon, 37-year-old Chandan Nanda Kumar was in his vehicle in the Woodbine Shopping Center parking lot.
While seated in his vehicle, he was shot multiple times and tragically succumbed to his injuries.
Police say the Brampton man was a family man with ties to the community.
Mr. Raja Nandakumar was not engaged in any criminal activity at the time of his death.
They're seeking 19-year-old Isaiah Thomas Badger of Edmonton, seen here on a Canada-wide warrant for first-degree murder. This is a still image from security video. Soon after the shooting, they say Badger went to Brampton.
Left in the crime vehicle, drove it to Clairville Conservation Area, where he lit it on fire.
Badger's also wanted for first-degree murder in a shooting death on January 26th in Vaughan. In that killing, 65-year-old Sergio Lopez was gunned down in the parking lot outside his carpentry business. In that shooting, police say Badger had an accomplice, 19-year-old Jacob Wallace of Mississauga, who was also wanted for first-degree murder for driving the getaway car. It was disposed.
Okay, so we can stop it there. Now, they caught the Jacob Wallace kid maybe about a week ago, and now they just recently caught the Isaiah Badger kid. Now, the thing is with him, we've been following him because he was dropping music. But now people have been arguing with me saying, oh, that's AI. Even, the beat that he took it from is just like an industry beat. All that is besides the point, right? I'm assuming that he was dropping music while he was on the run. How cooked is he if he was one of your clients?
I mean, it depends what he's saying in the music. It depends what other evidence they have against him. You know, the police always put their best foot forward at these public service announcements. They don't, go through all of the evidence by any means. So it really just depends why they have connected him to each of these killings and what evidence they have against him. As we saw from that still footage, it looks like they got some pretty good surveillance footage. But again, I don't know. The fact that they've charged him with first-degree murder tells me it was a planned hit. Right? There's only so many circumstances in which someone in a shooting like that would be charged with first-degree murder, and it's most likely it was considered planned and deliberate.
Before you ask the question, there's more, because there's so much lore that was going on around him the longer that he was on the run, that information started to accumulate on Reddit, on Torontology and Torontologists specifically, of messages back and forth, or alleged messages back and forth between him and somebody else saying, I had to do it for my family, and all these different things, all these information basically. How does that help with somebody like this in a case like this? Because how do we even decipher what's real or fake? People are telling us, the songs are fake. Like, how, you get that on your table, boom.
So, I mean, that's up for the Crown to prove, but all of this information gets gathered by the police, and the police then will go and investigate whether or not any of it's true.
Which
and they'll
information?
compare
the Reddit stuff?
They compare what's online to mostly what's in people's cell phones, right? And one of the biggest sources of evidence against people these days is from themselves. It's them, sending photos, sending pictures, sending voice notes. If it's a planned hit, and let's say, for example, it was something that he was contracted to do, there might be evidence of that in his phone.
A paper trail.
And so the police will compare that. Now, will the Reddit messages that don't involve him be submitted in court? Will that ever go to the jury? No, it won't. It's not usable evidence from a court perspective, but it will all be used to further the police investigation, because the police need to figure out what happened here.
Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, so Jordana, if K2 is your client and he's facing 2 charges of first-degree murder, he's 19 years old, from an indigenous community, and he went cross-country fleeing the police. Like, what is your goal in terms of sentencing for him? Because they're going to try to charge him with like 2 life sentences, I guess, for first degree.
Well, first degree murder, you don't have any options. It's an automatic life sentence with no parole eligibility for 25 years. So there's nothing to argue.
How would you approach it, and what would you try to get it down to? Like a manslaughter or something? Like,
again, that's situational. Manslaughter is very, very difficult. Maybe a second. Maybe there really is no evidence of planning and deliberation. Maybe if it's a second degree, he's still looking at a life sentence. Like whether it's first or second, it's an automatic life sentence. It's a question of when you're eligible for parole. So for second degree murder, your parole eligibility is a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of 25.
Yes.
So, I mean, again, it really depends on what actual evidence they have against him. And that's something that we would have to review in the disclosure. But at the end of the day, if this individual's killed 2 people in cold blood, no reason in the sense of like not acting in self-defense. It wasn't an accident. He wasn't playing with a gun that, just accidentally went off.
Yeah.
There's obviously defenses in certain circumstances, but if there isn't, when we talk about parole eligibility, he's still got to face the parole board. He still has to convince the parole board that he's not going to be a menace if he gets out, and he's not going to hurt anyone else. And that's going to, obviously be an uphill battle.
And there's also the families of the people, the victims, basically, that are going to be like, no, we don't want him back on the road.
Of course.
Yeah.
So it depends. That said, he's only 19 years old. Are we going to write off a 19-year-old? Like, in my mind, there's a big question of why. What's going on with this kid?
Yeah.
If he is factually guilty, if he did what he's accused of doing, like someone at some point has to parse out the why. Why do we have a 15-year-old killing random strangers? Like,
well, what I'm thinking is they're saying it's first degree.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they're saying it's planned.
Yes.
If you look at the victim and the suspects, it didn't really seem like two people that would like know each other. So I feel like maybe there's like either evidence that there was a plan, or like maybe someone's cooperating that would say that it was a hit. And if it was a hit, then like that's the motive right there, money. Like a lot of these kids do need money. They want it the fast way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are applying for jobs and not getting jobs. And when they do get the job, it's like, it's not covering anything. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and people will give them 30 racks for a hit.
And in the case of two individuals like this, if they were to offer information to law enforcement, could that lessen their charge? Like, are they going to be offered that where it's like, who sent you on this hit, or they wouldn't care?
They're not going to care.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
They're not going to care. You're not going to see a first-degree murder go to like a manslaughter for some information.
For snitching.
Like, the reality is whatever information they have, the police can likely get from another snitch. They're not going to have like such inside scoop about who's at the top of the hierarchy that, that hired him. Because the person that hired a kid like that is so far down the rung anyways. He's like 1 or 2 levels above at most.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have any information on who's at the top.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also the music aspect, because we were covering this and we were like kind of impressed with some of the music, but I felt like a lot of that stuff might come up in court. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you should show her some of the music. One of the lines in the song was like, caught one in the Rex, caught one in the West, like as if like he caught 2 bodies.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not going to help his
It's
case.
No.
If I'm the lawyer on that, I'm not happy.
That was like the first bar.
Oh my gosh.
that's like admissible evidence.
Yeah. If they can prove that it's him and he, put this song out after the murders happened, because that's one of the problems, right? They have to establish that there's like relevance. So if that's a song that he, did 5 years ago and it was before these guys were killed, I would argue like it's not relevant because it can't possibly relate to a murder that hadn't happened yet. But if it's like 3 weeks later and he's living comfortably out, in Alberta somewhere, and this is what he's doing with his time, like it's first of all, him running is a problem. It's consciousness of guilt.
Yeah.
It shows that he's got something to run from.
Say that again.
When you run away, it's called consciousness of guilt.
Consciousness of guilt.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it means that you are conscious of the fact that you're guilty and that you've done something wrong, which is why you're fleeing the scene. And so there's that for the lawyer to contend with, and then to also, have these songs where he's mentioning 2 bodies. It's a problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna play a little bit of it. Oh, what a tangle web we weave. Okay, I think you get the point.
I love that he says, I'm never talking.
You're talking right now.
Like in the song, he says, I'm never talking. Like,
but when Gary Grill defended Top 5, like, did that kind of set precedent when it comes to using rap lyrics in the courtroom? Because he kind of accredited it to persona building as opposed to admission of like reality.
Great question.
So he did, in terms of there's a possibility to challenge these things. He was challenging Instagram posts. And so he was successful in keeping all the Instagram posts out. And that was all the Crown had. There was nothing else other than these Instagram posts, which is why the Crown stayed after the application was successful.
So there's a precedent set now from that case. Like,
that it can be argued.
It?
That it can be argued. Yes. Again, everything is like fact specific, like everything in the law. So it doesn't mean that songs can never be used or Instagram posts can never be used.
Yeah.
But in that circumstance for Top 5, the judge said this is not relevant to the case. It's not directly
Interesting.
relevant.
'Cause
It doesn't directly implicate him.
Aren't there like
Interesting.
precedences that would like state the opposite as well?
Yes.
So it just depends on like the circumstance in which your client is in.
Yes, I mean, look at Lamar Skeet. So he's sitting in jail for the rest of his life. He got
Mm.
convicted of first based on a song that he wrote while he was in the Dawn.
Don't
Oh,
crack to the
really?
coppers.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was the bar.
Oh,
We don't
wow.
crack to the coppers. And they said that line.
That one
mean-
line.
Yeah, because, and salute to Lamar Skeet, right? They said that he murdered a man by the name of Kenneth Mark, but because this guy was a community activist and obviously he doesn't crack to the coppers. And this is the mentality that I'm just thinking that the Crown was using as far as their argument, right?
So it
He
wasn't.
used a bar saying we don't crack to the coppers. So he's talking about him. But
yeah,
that song was recorded like years prior when he was doing time in the Don jail.
yeah.
And that was the argument. But to this day, he's still locked up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that case went all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Supreme Court of Canada did not overturn.
He's still
So-
dealing with something right now. He's about to do like a big meeting with the courts as well. So
He's doing
still
really
fighting.
good. He's teaching in universities right now. Like he's really trying to like help people. He's really using his time wisely.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And imagine, and that was back in like 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't crack to the coppers. Look what they're saying now. You know what I'm saying?
No, for real. True.
They're just giving it to the freaking Crown at this point. This Crown Music was a good title from the beginning because like
Yeah.
they're literally giving the Crown what they want. What about the AI argument though? Because people are saying this is AI. Can that be argued in court?
Absolutely.
Tell me how.
Well, I mean, the Crown has to establish the authenticity of any video or surveillance,
Mhm.
right? That's the Crown's job. So, if I'm representing him and he says, "Listen, that's not my song. That's not me. Someone took my voice. Someone created this. This is bullshit." Then I make that argument. I'm not going to concede authenticity, and then it becomes the Crown. The Crown's going to have to hire an expert. The expert's
I'm
going to
about
have
to
to
say.
analyze the video, and they're going to have to figure out how to prove it's not AI.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
New world problem.
I have a question for you. Let's say I committed like a heinous crime or whatever, and I come to you. Is it best that I be completely honest with you, or is there certain things I should leave out so you could have like that, like that
Reasonable
ignorance?
doubt?
Yeah, yeah.
So I start with not asking my clients to tell
Okay.
me what happened. I
Okay.
start with, what are you charged with? Who are you alleged to have harmed? Who are your co-accused? That's just for me to make sure I've never represented them. I want to make sure that I don't have any conflicts. I get a little bit of background about the case, and then I say, okay, let me get the disclosure, and I'll go through it, and then we're gonna sit down together and we'll discuss. And that's what we do. We go through the case, and I lay it out, like a jigsaw puzzle. Like
Yeah.
this is what the Crown has. This is what the Crown's saying. Talk to me. We have this piece of evidence here. You have this song here.
Mm.
Is that really you or is that AI?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
The police are saying that you've got these photos in your phone. Are they actually in your phone? Are you
Yeah.
really taking photos of yourself holding a gun in the mirror of the bathroom?
And
of
he
the
has to tell you the
Airbnb? Like
truth.
why? Well, I mean, it's gonna only hurt him if he lies to
Yeah.
me, right?
Mm.
Clients lie to me, it doesn't
Yeah.
help them. And they know by that point, like by the time we get the disclosure, which could take 4, 5, 6 months, sometimes 7 months, depends. I'm not there to judge them.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I've taken on the case, whether they've done it or not doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So the answers to those questions should be truthful because it helps me help them. And by that point, like by the time we're going through the disclosure and talking strategy, like there's that level of trust, there's that level of, respect. He knows that I'm like gonna do the best that I can for the circumstances he's put himself in. And lying to me it doesn't work. Like I've had clients that, they get themselves convicted because they lie in the stand.
Yeah.
And the judge catches them in these lies that I told them that you
Mm.
shouldn't be telling. Like it's hard. It's difficult situations, but some people just can't be honest.
So if you know that your client is guilty, is the best strategy to like, I guess like find a loophole, like find a way out, or I guess find the most like smallest sentence for them, like the most minimal sentence?
I mean, it depends on the circumstances, right?
Mm.
Like again, for me, it's not about whether or not they've done it. If I know that they've committed, a certain crime, I can't put them on the stand to say they didn't,
Mm.
right? I have a duty as a lawyer. It's called, I'm an officer of the court is
Yeah.
what they're called. But, I can't suborn perjury.
Mm.
So, if you come to me and you say, yeah, I was in whatever, a bar fight. I know I hit the guy. When I look at the surveillance video, maybe I don't see that it's you, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like archaic surveillance footage. Maybe you're wearing a mask. Maybe I just can't tell. And so I can argue in court that the Crown can't prove it's you, but I can't put you on the stand to say that wasn't me. I wasn't there, right? Because I know that's not true.
Yeah,
So
now it's perjury.
Now I'm supporting perjury. I'm like, I'm teaching you to understand. So we're not allowed to do that, but I can still argue that the Crown can't prove it's you. So there's nuances we can work with.
Yeah, super interesting.
When you represent a client and you're defending them and you're presenting your arguments, whose authority are you seeking to appeal to more, the jury or the Crown?
No, I don't care about the Crown. It's the judge or the jury. So if it's a jury trial, then I want to convince the jury.
Okay, yeah.
And if I'm just in front of a judge, then I need to convince the judge. I don't ever need to convince the Crown of anything. They got their job to do. And the reality is, by the time we get to trial, I'm not going to convince the Crown of anything. Right? The Crown believes in the police theory, and they're going to fight as hard for that as I'm going to fight for my client.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to. There's no negotiation at that point.
So when it comes to the judge versus the jury, you're always just appealing to the jury. Like the jury has more authority in Canada.
So
would you say?
No, when there's like a judge and jury trial, there's always both. When you have a jury, there's always a judge there. The judge decides the law. So if there's a legal issue that has to be decided, it always goes to the judge. Factual issues go to the jury, and then the ultimate verdict goes to the jury. So let's say, you've got this trial going on. Let's say there's like pretrial motions. I'm trying to get a piece of evidence excluded. That decision gets made by the judge and the judge alone. The jury's not there to watch it. Then the Crown presents their case to the jury, and the judge is obviously there. Let's say that you're trying to do something shady. I object to it. The jury gets excused. We argue in front of the judge. The judge decides where the law is at on this piece of evidence. And then the jury comes back. The jury hears the rest of the evidence. I call evidence or not. I don't have to. It depends on the case. And then the lawyers and the judge talk about what law they should present to the jury so that the jury knows the legal tests. And the jury alone decides what the facts are. So if there's competing facts in a case, it's not for the judge to decide if there's a jury. The jury decides what the facts are, and then the jury takes the legal test that the judge gives them and applies it to the facts.
So is the judge able to appeal the jury's decision?
No.
But are there moments where they're not in congruence, like the judge and the jury are kind of like opposing, or it's usually like it all comes together?
We don't know, right? We never know what the jury deliberates. So the jury goes back into a little room. They get their coffee, they get their meals, and they discuss amongst themselves. It's illegal in Canada for jurors to talk about what happens in the jury room, subject and except for questions that go to the judge that they have to write down, and the judge has to talk to the lawyers. Like, it's a very, very rule-based system. Everything is stipulated in terms of like how we maneuver, and so judges have to tell the jury what the law is. The jury doesn't tell the judge what facts they found them to be. They can ask questions of the judge, and the judge will decide that with the lawyers together. And so juries don't give a reason as to why they decide how they decide. They just come back and they say not guilty or guilty or guilty of a lesser included offense. So let's say someone is facing first degree, but on the facts, they might be guilty of second or manslaughter. The jury gets all of those options. They come back. One person stands up and says, not guilty of first degree murder, but guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter. And then that's it.
No explanation
No
needed.
Explanation given.
That's crazy.
So if there's an appeal to be had, the appeal goes to the Court of Appeal, not the judge who sat in on the case. And the challenge is usually to something the judge did, because we never know, no lawyer knows why a jury decided the way they did.
Wow. Listen, for anybody also, and for K2 and the next guy, I forget the white
Jacob
kid,
Wallace.
Jacob Wallace, because I feel like, again, I keep on saying this, I feel like they watched the show. You might have learned some legal advice from this show right now for what you might have moving forward down the road, because you're gonna have a long journey.
19, bro.
Yeah. Couple of things.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, no salute to anybody at the end of this. Salute to us. Couple of things I forgot to do before we get to our next story. I needed to make some announcements as far as like shows and different things that are going on in the city. Quickly, if you could just pull this up on the screen, please. Uno Take Jake. Stove God Cooks. Okay, you know why I fucked up and I called him Stove Man Cooks the other day?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at Roadman Productions.
Okay.
Right? But yeah, Stove God Cooks. He's going to be performing at the Phoenix Sunday, April 26th. Opening for him will be Don Q. Big salute to Roadman Productions on the productions or on the promotions right there, and big salute to JD Era. It will be there'll be music by DJ Law and hosted by yours truly, Friday Ricky Dread, air horns. All right, so be there, be square, get your tickets now, and big salute to Stove God Cooks. There was one more thing I wanted to announce. Big salute to BCB Convenience. They're putting something on. Those are the guys, they have like the freestyle show.
In the candy store or whatever. Yeah.
Right? So big salute to them. They got something going on April 18th.
Drake, I heard you got new music coming out. I want to invite you to the BZB Convenience Spring Showcase on Saturday, April 18th. I'm also inviting every artist in the city that has music they want to showcase live. So Drake, if you want to come out and surprise everybody, just let me know. Other than that, Toronto, this showcase is one of a kind. It's like a pickup basketball game. Anybody can come. If you want to play/perform, all you have to do is show up. This venue is big enough to hold 400 people, but I don't think it's going to be enough because I'm not only inviting artists, I'm also inviting anybody that wants to connect with the artist. Music producers, music video producers, influencers, content creators, streamers, podcasters. Anybody who's ambitious and wants to make their brand bigger, feel free to come out, tap in, and take advantage of the opportunities and connections that's there. That's the whole purpose of this event. It's going to be held at 499 Queen Street West. The tickets are $20 and you can get them at the door. The event is going to start at 9 p.m. and it's going to run till late. Even if you have nothing to do with the music industry, even if you just want to come out and hang out, you're welcome to do so. If you have any questions, hit me up. Hey, Drake.
All right. So
cool.
Big salute to BZB Convenience. I don't know, we're in Canada. But yeah, big salute to him. And look out for that April 18th and the 26th. So the springtime is looking fruitful.
That sounds like a dope event for creators and stuff.
Yeah.
But if I'm Drake, that sounds like a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like if I said, anybody pull up, you could connect to the artist here. If I'm Drake listening to that, like you're letting anybody in there.
Yeah, you're gonna handle my security for the night, brother.
But for creators, I think that's an amazing opportunity. So.
No, for real. I'm looking forward to what comes out of that. I might go outside. Probably not, but I might. Staying on court stuff, okay? Afroman.
Roll Ready Detailing, now open 7 days a week from 8 to 5 p.m. 750 Oakdale Road, Unit 66, specializing in ceramic coating perpetual with warranty, PPF, tints, wraps, vinyl wraps, and hand car washes. Remember, we clean anything on wheels.
Mr. Because I Got High. He's just because I got high, right? He's in court, or like he's out of court now because he just got a major W versus the Ohio police. Basically, they ran up in his crib, ransacked his house, cut his security cameras based on a tip that he had like underage people like tied up in his basement type, like wild allegations.
Wow.
Didn't have a basement. Okay. So there was no basement to even check when they got there, but they ransacked his house, took $4,000 from him. And when he got all his stuff back, they didn't help with any of the repairs of his stuff, and $400 was missing. Okay. Afroman proceeded to make multiple songs getting at these guys, getting at all of the different individual officers.
And music videos.
That were in the upward millions of views, okay? Lick 'em Low Lisa was one of the officers that he was going at.
Lick 'em low.
Lick 'em low.
Lisa.
Right? There was the pound cake guy because he had like orange forgot what kind of
like lemon cake.
A lemon pound cake. Thank you. Right. So he had a song "Lemon Pound Cake" because one of the officers he can see from when he was looking back at whatever surveillance he had looked at the pound cake and like, you know,
We're like salivating.
low-key salivating type shit. So he got bars. Now, I think he got a whole song. Everybody got a whole song. So they got in their feels.
One of them, he said how he slept with his wife.
Yes.
You know, take a little page out of Natural's book.
Right? Right? So he went crazy, turned it up, turned it into some bread. They got in their feelings, sued him for defamation. And this is where he got the W.
Yeah.
So I'll play something because I think they want to appeal this.
Who just lost the Afroman trial are apparently going
This is courtesy of the Court of Random Opinion.
Appeal. Because the officers don't think that the jury was fair. And this is pretty much in line with their kind of entitlement and victim complex that we saw during the trial, which is not a good look for a police officer. But throughout the trial and testimony, the officers really showed themselves to have the mental and emotional fortitude of a fruit cup. Afroman himself posted that the officers are going to try to appeal on Instagram this morning, and I'll get to that in a second. But I first saw this floating on Twitter from Kat Not Williams, and this is an account I follow that it's pretty up to date with all the news, and she's always got these documents and stuff on hand for us. And Kat says, "Are we going to blame the jury?" And then she has this document, which is an email from Robert Klinger, the attorney for the police officers. It says, "I'm requesting a copy of the jury selection questions and answers in the above referenced case from the morning of March 16th. I'm requesting expedited production of this recording/video, so please let me know when it's available." So it kind of seems like that's where we were going, where they were going to say the jury wasn't fair to them somehow, or they were somehow biased, which is... And if you missed it, Robert, in his closing statements for the officers, actually tried to tell the jury that they were basically a gift from God, here to stop this evil rapper from making fun of the police officers. And I'll show you some of that after we go through this post from this morning. And I think we know by now that nobody here is safe from Afroman if they've contributed to this kind of ridiculous situation where he's now going to have to continue to defend himself after, you know, these officers kicked down his door wrongfully based on a really shady warrant saying that there were, you know, kidnap victims in a dungeon when his house doesn't have a dungeon or even a basement. And then after they vandalized his property and refused to help him even prop his door back up, apologize or pay for damages to repair the things they broke, he made fun of them in rap videos and songs. And these little snowflakes decided to take him to court and try to get millions of dollars in damages. Millions of dollars. Because they claimed they were subject to so much pain and emotional distress over these videos. One of the officers even suffered the horror of being gifted several pound cakes.
We love hip-hop.
But here's what Afroman has to say this morning. He says,
I'll stop it after
"Good morning, ladies.
Message
Rip
here.
off statutory Robert." Okay, we're starting off strong there. "Kick it out of court if you're cop Klinger, Robert Klinger, the protector of police officers, thieves, liars, etc., is filing an appeal. He feels the jury was unfair to the police officers, thieves, and liars. Robert Klinger does not understand the fact that the whole world was watching the case on the internet. The whole world knows he represents police officers laying in bed with convicted felony ex-convict wives."
You're giving me so much to blank.
"The whole world knows Robert Klinger represents Sean Grooming Grooms, the guy known for giving drug-addicted women like Tasha Purdon, the one he's with now at this very moment, go knock on the door, penis plea deals, and having sex with them on duty. Oh my..." Robert Klinger does not watch the news. He doesn't know there's a whole nation and world full of police officers like this. What he doesn't know is he's not going to find any jury in the world to support his ex-convict wife, thief, lying, unaccountable police officers. However, he's a great attorney for police officers with felony ex-convict wives, and cheating, lying police officers who have sex with the drug addicts they arrest on duty like Sean Grooms. Damn. If you're a police officer like this and you need representation, please call. And then he puts his office number there.
Okay. Afroman, Natural, you thought you went far, bro. Afroman went straight to hell with it. So I have a couple of questions, right? And I'm glad that we have criminal defense lawyer Jordana Goldlist in the building. All right, air horns. One, can this happen in Canada? As far as like the way the defamation and all that, can they run all of that in Canada, or is that only an American thing?
No, there exists defamation law here in Canada. It certainly is available. I'm not sure that we would ever reach a spectacle quite like this.
Yeah,
Quite
yeah.
frankly, we do things very differently. I don't know that it would ever turn into the circus that it has, but is there available law for it too? Sure. Yeah.
Okay, based on what your answer is, would an Afroman in Canada win that case, in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't do defamation law. Like it's a whole different breed of law than I've done. It's like so far outside of my wheelhouse that I can't tell you. Our jury system is very different. We don't screen jurors the way they do. So I'm surprised to see that anyone's complaining about like the makeup of the jury in the United States.
Yeah.
Because juries in the United States, I know for criminal cases, I assume it's the same for civil. Like they go through a whole vetting process. It takes weeks before like both sides actually decide on the makeup of the jury.
Yeah.
Unlike here, our rights to choose a jury have been completely decimated.
Really?
And so, yeah, you're basically getting the first 12 that walk up and say that they're prepared to be jurors.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, you're
So-
asking a screening question to see if they're racist, which requires the potential juror to admit to being a racist. Right.
Yeah.
That's essentially the question is like, yeah, I've got a black client accused of shooting a white person. Are you going to judge the case fairly? Yeah, no, maybe. Like you have to decide
Imagine.
on their own.
Are you racist? To check the box, yes. It's like, damn, bro.
I mean,
will be
you'd actually
excused.
surprised how many people admit to being racist, but
Just
we
to get
never
out.
know if they're doing that to get out of jury duty or
true.
if they actually are prepared to admit that they're a racist.
So you basically kind of just have to hope that the jury, at least someone is within your demographic.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they can
you
kind
have-
of like
yeah.
relate to you.
And they're few and far between.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
especially like
crazy.
in certain jurisdictions, right?
Yeah.
You get certain jurisdictions that are like they're all white. and
That's
that you
true.
can't do anything about it.
That's true.
Okay, I have one more question, and you guys can go crazy on your opinions on this. As if Afroman is your client, right? We tried to do this earlier with Natural, but it didn't work out, right?
I don't know what's gonna work out here either, but let's try.
Now, he made a lot of money off of those tunes. Those songs have millions of views.
Yes.
So that worked out. Okay. He was probably able to pay back all of the damages that these guys made. But this last message that this lady just read out just here, as if he was your client, would you tell him like maybe reel it back a little bit? You already won.
Yes, absolutely. Because now, again, he's setting himself up for potential defamation against the lawyer if that lawyer doesn't actually take on like cops accused of committing like acts of
Yeah.
right? Like
He
if
already
I'm the
did.
lawyer and someone's calling me that, like I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling someone to sue him for that. Like that's far. But again, maybe it's true, right?
It
You
is
can't be
true.
okay. So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you can't be alleged to be defaming someone if the information you're giving the public is true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Like if someone put a post up that, Jordana Goldlist defends people who sell fentanyl, like I can't do anything about it. Right? That's the reality of my practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't claim defamation. If someone said that, I defend, that'd be a problem for me because I don't,
Yeah.
and it would be false and something that I could do something about.
Yeah. And then you can also prove it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
like
saying?
0 court cases
Yeah.
involving anyone who's ever been charged with.
Yeah, I think
raping a child.
Afroman, he's smart enough to know that if this guy was asked to prove that you don't, like if he says, "No, I never did,"
Right.
right? They'll be like, "What about these 20 cases of all
Yes.
these other guys?"
Right.
Right? What do you guys think of this though? Like he's one W for him as far as freedom of speech. I don't know. This is why I asked you earlier if this would happen in Canada because freedom of speech isn't as free over here in Canada.
It is as long as you're not inciting violence, and even that is
Yeah.
a sort of touch and go subject right now. I don't know that we want to wade into that conversation, but the reality is like here, there's a lot of freedom to say whatever you want. Otherwise, the police would be arresting everybody with a hip hop song right now on YouTube. They know who people are, and they're not
Yeah.
arresting people for their songs. They're using their songs as evidence against him when they're arresting them for other crimes.
Yeah.
And there's a distinction there. So I do think people have the freedom to say what they want. And some of these songs, there is significant violent undertones, if not outright threats. So that's allowed. It's a question of whether or not you're actually inciting violence. And if you're inciting violence, you're inciting hatred, especially against an unidentifiable group.
Yeah.
That's where we sort of draw the line here.
I just think it's interesting. with this story because the story that we looked at earlier in the pre-topic, they had to get so much evidence just to even bring it to the police officers. But for Afroman,
one
little measly tip, and then they're breaking down his door, they're ransacking his home. You know, like it's like a violation of human rights.
Agreed. And they never even got a floor plan.
No, exactly.
Like all they needed was a floor plan of the house and be like, oh yeah, no, this tip's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that first cop where there was like someone who saw him using cocaine was completely ignored for 15 years.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
exactly,
the first tip against that cop in Manitoba.
Yeah. Somebody actually, there was
Seen
evidence.
him.
I seen you doing
Yeah.
it, bro.
Credible witness.
That's crazy.
But another thing it made me think of. Okay, this is another legal precedent of music or entertainment being allowed to, I don't want to say like diss somebody, but like, you know, make fun of someone.
Yeah.
You know, Drake's lawsuit already got dismissed.
Interesting.
Is this like, well, maybe you can answer this as a lawyer. Is this like another legal precedent that I guess UMG would be able to say against Drake, where it's like, oh, this is another form of entertainment where they were saying certain things about certain people and
Nick and Lisa.
So I think that we would have to, you know, I haven't heard Afroman songs, but if what Afroman was saying about these cops was true, right? Like you gave the pound cake example, right? So if the cop goes in and he's like eyeing the pound cake and it was very obvious, and then Afroman makes a song about him and pound cake,
exactly,
it's true. I think Drake's lawsuit against Kendrick was like, you're calling me I'm not a, and it was based on it not being true. Like I think,
could it be like,
from what I understood, again, I'm not on the, you know, his case at all, but from what I understand, the problem wasn't that he was just like dissing him as a rapper. It was that he was like attacking him as being someone who was sleeping with underage girls.
Yeah, I think where it gets tricky is the wording, because he didn't say, "Hey Drake, you are that."
Here we go.
You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, so like that's where it gets tricky in court. You know what I mean? Where like that's where I just see where it's kind of like not worth the squeeze. Sometimes it's like kind of keep fighting, even for the police officers. Like this was a local lore, but because they brought it to court, it became this world-renowned topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What did they call that? The Streisand effect. Yeah. I'll play you one song before we get off of the story here. This is Lemon Pound Cake. Has 5.9 million views on it. Salute to our listening audience. Y'all are going to get to hear this, but YouTube, you can't get this.
Found no kidnapping victims.
We love hip
Just some lemon pound cake.
Watch him.
Oh! Pounder put down his gun and cut him up.
We love hip hop.
Of what?
The guy's looking at the pound cake like it's a suspect.
I'm gonna have to confiscate this.
Because he got hot. Lemon pound cake.
Mud.
There we go.
Oh my God.
I like that.
That's funny.
Salute to Afro, man. he made my week. We don't usually cover a lot of American topics, but I was like, this is just too nice to leave alone, yo. So salute to Afro, man.
They found the right ones. So.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the new tunes for the PDF lawyer. Getting back local, the forged self-defense laws. And big salute to Jordana, because you sent me all this also. You said we might need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Right? But at the time when you sent it to me, it was right after he was talking about the home invasion, where he was like, I'm glad that he shot him.
Yeah.
Right? And that was like the headline that went out. And some people got a little offended. Like, I don't know, I guess people on the left, right? Since then, since you sent me about that, he said more shit.
Yes.
Right? He's now saying, okay, at least if you ain't got a gun, get you some pepper spray and that should be okay.
Well, he did that before. So he's petitioning the federal government. He's petitioning the federal government to declassify pepper spray and sort of other similar personal defense as not being weapons. So right now, you know, pepper spray and mace and things of that nature are considered weapons. They're prohibited devices.
Hold up. Thank you. Because we had this conversation the other day of like weapons that you can kind of have on you. And we had a whole joke about pepper spray not being the manly thing to spray or whatever. But like low-key, you're not even allowed to have it. We were wrong.
Yeah.
So that's illegal to have pepper spray?
And pepper spray, mace, bear spray. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Yo, fam.
Might as well just have a strap.
Huh?
Might as well just have a strap.
I mean, it's not gonna be anywhere bad.
How much time are you doing?
I do not want to be. I do not want there to be any suggestions that was my legal advice.
But how much
that
time?
is not my legal advice. You're gonna get way more time for a gun.
Got
than you ever
Jordana's
made.
words.
Like, please.
How much time are you doing for like pepper spray possession?
I mean, it doesn't normally happen on its own, right? And if it is, those guys aren't coming to me. So normally, like if the police are finding mace, they're finding it with drugs, with a gun, with other things. It's in the context of like a different situation.
Yeah.
Or like I had a case way out in Coburg where a client was charged with assault with a weapon for using pepper spray or bear mace. I think at that time it was like a bear spray. And so it was part of this larger assault. So, it's normally a part of a case because the reality is like many of us are walking down the street and we have it in our pocket. The police aren't going to know unless they have a reason to find it.
Yeah.
Right. And so the reality is like the police don't know what you have on them unless they're searching you. And normally, again, depending on who, what, where, they're not searching you if you're just walking down the street. But until you get into a bar fight and you pull it out and you use it, and now you're bringing yourself and your mace or your pepper spray to their attention.
Okay, I was about to say, like, let's say you get into an altercation.
Yes.
I believe it's like equal force rules over here or something like
that. So, but that's now you're talking about self-defense, which is a defense, and you're running that at trial. You've now had to hire a lawyer and sit through the process for like 2 years.
So, like, if somebody like attacked me,
right,
and I had pepper spray on me, if I were to use that on my attacker, would they be able to like arrest me because? Like let's say they didn't have anything. They were just like punching me or something,
So again, would they be able to arrest you? Yes, they're definitely able to. It's interesting because in the case we're talking about that Doug Ford commented on, the police decided not to charge a homeowner who is in legal possession for a licensed firearm and used it during a violent home invasion and shot one of the invaders. And then the invader
not to interrupt you, what kind of fire? It was a handgun that he had, right?
I don't know if it was a handgun or a long gun, but we know it was a legal firearm.
Okay.
So whatever he had, he was legally allowed to own, and he was legally properly stored it. He was doing everything right. And so these guys broke into his house at like 2:00 in the morning. It was 3 guys who were armed with weapons, and he went to his safe, presumably, pulled out his gun, loaded it, and shot them. And the police in that situation decided not to charge him, which is an anomaly in Ontario. Normally, the police are charging and letting the judge and jury decide at the end of the day.
I was gonna say he was legally allowed to have that gun.
Correct.
We're not legally allowed to have pepper spray.
Pepper spray. Yeah, I thought you said gun. I was
okay.
Speak for yourself.
That too, though. Right? Like even the process, and we'll get to the process in a minute. Like it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you guys thoughts on the pepper spray thing? Should that be legal?
I think it's a sad state of affairs that our government has to ask. Like our provincial government has to ask the federal government to declassify certain weapons in order for us as civilians to just be safe.
I agree.
Like that's sad. Like I think about, when I was in my 20s and I was going out to parties and clubs and like I would, meet someone and there'd be another party and I could go with someone. Like I didn't think twice about meeting new people and going to new places with them. And I didn't get hurt. Like I didn't have to worry, that we're now in a world in which like, men and women can't do that. Like that's a reflection on the greater situation in society. I think, I that's at first blush.
I got to push back a little bit, Jordana, because like back in your time, that was your existence, right?
Right.
But I've gone to many clubs or jams in my days when I was like in my teenage times or when I was getting in my early 20s, where it might have been a better option to have the thing on me.
Right.
Or if not, like, I've been in a situation where a lot of jams got shot up when I was a kid. So it didn't start just now. They've
different
been shot up.
demographics.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Now it's happening in communities that it never used to happen.
Yeah. So like pepper spray
That's
might be an option
fair.
if I want to go to the jam with my chain on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's always been a threat. Like for
But
my
if you're gonna pull a pepper spray because someone's jacking you for your chain, they probably have something that's more potent on
I was
them.
just thinking
and
that.
I think that you
Most
pull out your
likely.
pepper spray, you're more likely to get shot.
Yes.
And that's the reality. If you're doing it because someone's trying to steal your chain.
Well,
and so we're
hence
gonna
the
end up in
option.
yeah.
Where people go and say, well, then I may as well go get the gun instead.
Again, I'm not endorsing that. Oh my God. The Law Society is going to be sending me a letter this week. I can feel it.
She's endorsing you to put insurance on your chain. So
I endorse everybody to go get legal firearms and be properly licensed if you're going to have a gun and keep it properly. That's the extent of what I can endorse.
Yeah, and the thing is, with our country, you can't even like.
You're going to cost me my law.
No, we pardon, right? But like, even in our country, you can't even get a gun and say, okay, let me make sure I have it on me on road in case anything happens. Like, it has to be in your home, stored in the correct area, or you're
unless
fucked.
you're going to the range. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like we don't have the kind of the laws like in certain states where if somebody hits me up in traffic and tries to rob me, I defended myself. You just have to just give it up.
It's a lose-lose. It's almost like, because I think for us, like, let's say you're walking with your girlfriend or like a family member, like you're almost like assuming like someone probably has a gun around here. Like, and let me at least like equip myself for the option of self-defense. But like, what's a knife going to do against the gun? What's pepper spray even going to do against the gun? But it's kind of like, it's unfair for people who aren't going that illegal possession route, because like now you're walking with your girl, you want to protect your girlfriend, but like you can't have it on you.
Yeah.
But you know, next man's might try you. They might have it on you, like
illegally
on them.
I don't know. I always try to think of loopholes and stuff. You say you could have it on roads if you're on the way to the range.
Yes.
Okay, like, let's say if someone was planning to bring their gun on them on the road, like not to.
But when you say on them, like it has to be locked in the trunk, unloaded.
Yeah.
So you still can't use, even if I'm driving to the gun range.
Yeah.
My guns have to be in my trunk. They have to be unloaded. They have to be like properly secured. If I'm driving to the range and I got my gun on me, like I still can't use it to defend myself. I can't be like, hold on a second, wait, I gotta go to the trunk and I gotta like gear up,
load up.
But let's say you were able to like go to the trunk and get it.
There's no world in which that's happening.
But like, let's say they're on some John Wick shit, like just hypothetically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
sliding across the hood.
I'm like in the Matrix.
Because like these YNs, they be fumbling and stuff. You know what I mean? So you had enough time to go to the trunk.
If I have enough time to go to the trunk, I have enough time to drive away. And I'm driving over whoever's trying to drive.
And that's what the Crown is going to try to argue?
But that's the reality of like what I would do, right? Like, I don't want to have to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
So if I'm in my car and someone's fumbling with their gun, I'm just going to drive my car into them. And good luck. I drive a G-Wagon.
Hold on. You can get charged with assault though for the car.
Okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'll take that to a jury anytime. I'm being carjacked by someone with a gun.
Yeah.
And I drive off.
Ran them over. Yeah.
Like
equal force.
I'm using just enough force that I need to get away, and I'm trying to get away. Right? Compare that to he fumbled for the gun, so I went to my trunk and I loaded my gun, and then I came and shot him.
Okay,
that's an ugly look.
Can we play out that scenario?
Sure.
If that was to happen, right?
Yes.
You actually get to the gun, John Wick shit, whatever. Cool.
Yep.
Boom. You get them.
Yep.
They even let off a shot. They missed, and you got boom. You hit them.
Right.
Okay. What is the threat neutralized? Now you get charged.
Yes.
Because you let off a firearm in public, all that type of stuff.
You could defend that.
Can you defend that? That's the good thing.
Sure, you can run a self-defense argument and say, I felt like my life was at risk, and it probably was in that circumstance.
Yes.
And the Crown is going to say to you, well, why didn't you just leave? You are only to use as much force as is necessary to defend yourself. So how is that necessary? How did you need to shoot him as opposed to drive away once you fumbled for the gun? And then ultimately it's, but your gun didn't jam. I don't know.
I watched Better Call Saul. I watched too much of these movies.
So there's always a defense. Is it going to be believed? In that circumstance, there probably isn't anything else to argue. So are you going to run it? Yes. You're going to see what the judge and or jury decides. Ultimately, again, I wish I had a crystal ball. I'd be on a beach in the Cayman Islands. But that's what you would run. But the reality is the Crown is going to argue you had other options and other viable options that you should have pursued.
I think this kind of brings us to where this is where my brain is going, because the home invasion thing was the one thing that he was saying good that he shot them, or that the homeowner shot them.
And should have shot him some more.
That's what he said too?
Yeah.
Ford is going crazy. But I feel like this conversation that we're having here kind of extended to beyond the home. You know what I mean? Like again, I'll mention these different states like Florida and different places where it's like it goes beyond defending yourself in your home. You could defend yourself on the road. Can we handle that? I won't say the whole of Canada. Let's even keep it regional. Like in Ontario, you think we can handle that? Like open carry or concealed carry type of thing going on out here?
I mean, we're not even close to that, right? The federal government has still got their stupid buyback program in effect.
Facts.
The Supreme Court of Canada has just allowed for the Canadian Coalition of Firearms Rights lawsuit against the government to go to the Supreme Court of Canada. So that's still an open case. And, you know, God willing, they're successful with the Supreme Court of Canada. They'll roll back this buyback that's doing nothing, as we all know, to get guns off the street.
Right.
It's not the legal gun owners. So I don't know what's going to be in that regard, but, you know, that's still the current state of affairs here in Canada. So we're so far removed from open carry or closed carry that I don't even think it's like a viable conversation at this stage.
Yeah.
What we do know is that we do have a lot of legal gun owners with their guns properly stored at home who are becoming the victims or the potential victims of home invasions. And so what Doug Ford is saying in Ontario is, you know, go ahead, defend yourself in your home. And that's sort of the extent of it. He's not taking that further. And, you know, it would take a lot, I think, for the federal government to not only just roll back their current buyback and their prohibition of what was legal guns, but also to extend it to either closed or open carry.
Yeah, and I think too many people are getting carjacked. Maybe they need to get
shot.
A few shootings in those carjackings, and then they might reconsider.
No, I was gonna say, I'll entertain your hypothetical. I think it would benefit, especially Toronto. You know, I feel like because legal gun owners aren't able to protect themselves, unless if it's like a very specific circumstance, people are able to like run wild on them.
And they are.
You know, but like if there was some sort of like immediate repercussion, you know, like if you go to carjack somebody and they could potentially have it as well, I think that would definitely deter.
You're going to reconsider.
It's going to be interesting, yeah, especially because, you know, these kids that are actually doing the home invasions are so far down the food chain, they're not getting much out of it, right? They're earning their stripes, they're getting a few $1,000s, like they're not, you know, they're not really making enough. You're going to think twice, like, is it worth it knowing that the homeowners are allowed to shoot me?
Exactly.
Like that's a whole different consideration that they don't have right now.
I'm down for more. I'm down for the homeowner grandma that you see that you think you could just go take her purse. She might turn around and just hit you with the blammy. So like now you have to think, you know what? She might have it on her. This lady who's walking in the middle of the night that I'm thinking I'm just going to go run up on, she might have it on her. Let me think twice, right? Because right now, there's no thought of that.
No. At all.
You know what I'm saying?
And
at all.
I know equality isn't necessarily achievable, but I think that is the strongest way to create an even playing field or an equal playing field. If everyone was able to legally own a firearm, then, but I think it would open up new problems as well.
Pandora's box right there. Last thing I'll say on it, because I'll just tell you guys a quick story. I was in Florida years ago, like early 2000s, right? I'm driving with my homeboy's niece. And we're on the highway. I'm driving. And somebody kind of cut me off. And I started honking. And she was like, yo, chill. You're not in Toronto. Right? Like, shit can happen out here.
Facts.
That guy might follow you and pull out a gun on you. You know what I'm saying? So she had the mentality, like, act right. Because everybody has it on them. So from there, I saw that. And I was like, at the time, I was kind of like, oh, that's fucked up. But now in my, you know, in 2026, I'm like, that ain't so bad. Because everybody just is under manners now. Because they know just any and everybody can have it. Like, don't just cut me off in traffic and just think it's going to be okay and all those different things. You know what I'm saying? Don't just run upon me when I'm coming out the grocery store. Like, everybody has the equalizer.
Yeah, you probably don't even want to mess with the miskins because they could actually have it and actually use it legally.
Yes,
and get away with it. You know, like
this is why the baby shot somebody when they were coming into his house and then called the police.
Yeah, come get him.
Come get him. He's leaking on my lawn.
Well, have you seen the videos from the sheriff in Florida that thanks the community when someone gets shot, when a home invader gets shot, a carjacker gets shot? That's part of like their press release.
Yeah.
It's like, we just want to thank you for doing this service to the community that the taxpayers now no longer have to, you know, pay to like put him through a trial and or
Yeah.
house him.
Making their job easier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It makes people, it forces accountability because now your fellow citizen is able to kind of hold you accountable. If you're trying to run up on them, now they can kind of take justice into their own hands as opposed to like just being dependent on the police force to like handle it.
I'm not even looking at the justice part. I'm looking at the defense part. Like the person who's a criminal is not going around the law to go get their gun. Right? So they're going to come and rob me and I'm not allowed to have one to defend myself. Like I have to be in my house to be able to do so. Nah, that's not enough for me. It's not enough for me. I do have a question based on the conversation we had the last episode, like last year, right? We were talking about legally owning handguns in Canada.
Yes.
Okay. I'm still not completely clear on that because I've been having conversations where people are like, hey, I have a handgun. The situation that we just got, we don't know if it was a handgun, but there was another situation where a person had a handgun in their home. Who can have them and who can't have them? I want to take a quick second to give a big shout out to Grabba Grabba, some of the hottest grabba in the GTA. You can get grabba shakers as well as hot grabba leaf in different flavors like red herring and red rose. They got delivery within the GTA and they got some really cool apparel for sale. If you want to get your hands on that Grabba Grabba, make sure to hit them up on their Instagram page, grabbagrabba.ca, and let them know that the We Love Hip Hop boys sent you. Big salute to the sponsors. Cheer! And what is the procedure to get one?
So currently, you cannot get licensed to have a handgun because correct. In 2022, the federal government made it illegal for even gun stores to import handguns, for anyone to sell a handgun, anyone to transfer a handgun. So even with your gun license, I cannot legally transfer one of my handguns to you. But because I owned handguns before 2022, I am allowed to keep my collection of handguns.
Oh, that'll be mine.
Like your grandfather didn't.
I already had. So I got my license for handguns, I think in 2016. And so in 2016, I was allowed to be licensed as anyone else was. You just go and do the course and you apply to the RCMP and they do a background check and make sure that you're, law-abiding citizen and that you don't have any prior domestics. Like domestics was a big concern back then. I think it still is. And so got licensed for what was called restricted and then non-restricted firearms. So non-restricted are things like shotguns and certain rifles. All handguns were considered restricted firearms, but we, as legal gun owners, had a license to purchase and use and transfer and transport. So if you in 2018, let's say, decided to get, your restricted license and you were like, hey, I really like that gun. Can I buy it off of you? I could have sold it to you as long as we do the paperwork with the RCMP. So like it was highly, highly regulated. Every handgun that was legally owned was registered to a person and that person had to be at a particular place. And so the RCMP always had to know how many guns you had and where you kept them. Like it was and it still is highly regulated. So in 2020, the Liberal government, during COVID, this was what their concern was, decided to pass law that made certain restricted guns prohibited. So like AR-15s and certain rifles in that category. Things that looked like assault rifles. We don't actually have assault rifles in Canada because we were, as legal gun owners, unless you had like specific military guns, you cannot have fully automatic.
Interesting.
So that was a part of the classification. So 2020, they say some of these scary looking guns, no matter how they function and whether or not they're used for hunting or not, we're going to make those prohibited. So those of us who own those guns now own prohibited guns that we can't do anything with. And those are part of the buyback. 2 years later, the government said, okay, we're done allowing handguns into this country. So there was a mad rush for anyone who at the time was allowed to purchase handguns, went to their gun stores and ordered handguns and bought them all up. So
really? So back in 2022,
back
was
in
a big sale
2022,
going on.
huge. You had to like get whatever you could at the time because there was
Crazy.
like a time limit. As soon as the clock stopped and stores could no longer sell handguns, that was it. So there was no more importation, no more sale, no more transfer, no more anything. We can still bring our guns to the range, so we can still like use them for the purpose that we own them for.
Right.
But that's it. So As of today, even if you went and did the course and applied to the RCMP for your license and did all of the paperwork properly, you could not legally purchase a handgun.
Is the reasoning for that
Our government is stupid.
okay? So like, did they try to say like, oh, handguns can't be used for hunting or something? Like,
No, they
did they have a
made
reason?
absolutely no sense.
It's just arbitrary.
It's
like
completely arbitrary.
Mhm.
They banned AR-15s in Canada, and then they decided out in BC, I can't remember what animal. There was like certain animals were overrun, and when there's a particular area that's overrun by a particular animal, the government issues license for them to be culled, which basically means hunters can go in and kill them. And when hunters kill animals, they take them and they use them. They eat them. They use them for different purposes. Like they do, what we would hope that they would do with these animals. Instead of allowing the legal gun owning population to use their legal AR-15s, which the government had banned, the government spent $80 million contracting with a company in the U.S. to come in and use AR-15s from helicopters.
Oh my
to
God.
call the same animals.
That's so dumb.
That's where we're at with this government.
Yo, we're ass backward.
We are beyond ass back. We're a joke.
AKA they link their bedroom like, okay, I'm gonna put this for your company, and then when you need to send me, use my company type thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, these guys are
That's
just
all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
All it is.
Yeah, patting each other on the back and let's put money in each other's pockets. Exactly. Yo, it's a nasty game. Okay, I have one more question on the handguns thing, and we're gonna skip a couple of topics because we're running a little bit later tonight. But it's good. Importation. Okay. During the time, I guess pre-2022, before Trudeau fucked that shit up, right? How was that working? Like, because obviously you can't get all the handguns you want over here in Canada. You might be on a trip in, I don't know, Arizona and be like, this gun looks nice. I want to buy it, bring it back home. Can that happen? Or could that happen at the time?
I think so. I think that there was you obviously had to declare them.
Yes.
You had to travel with them legally. You had to have all your paperwork in order, and you would have had to declare it crossing the border. The same way you could order a gun from the States or gun parts, you just have to send all of your proper paperwork and it's going to be checked at the border. Right. And so you can order from anywhere as long as you were sending, your valid license and all of the paperwork checked out. And it wasn't something that was prohibited. So if you were going to order a restricted firearm, then you had to have a restricted license and, it had to be properly declared like through customs.
Wow. That's an interesting process. So you could like order some guns and then you just, as long as you, I guess, upload the proper paperwork.
I think so. I mean, I never, I did whenever I bought guns, it was through like Canadian, no, it wasn't always in person, but it was always through like Canadian retailers.
You got one in the mail one day?
Maybe.
That's sick.
No, is that how that works? No, because I'm there thinking like an old head, like, okay, when you go into the gun store and then you say, give me that one. Like,
that's what I
mean, that's how I like usually buy guns and how I know most people do. More so just because you want to like try it. You want to make sure that you like the feel, you like the way, like there's, if you're like, you gotta like, there's some you try and especially if you're using them for sport or you're using them for target, like, there's a whole culture around it. And the reality is there's like a lot of people in Canada that are also using their guns for hunting and they want to make sure that it's like, fits all of the classifications that they want. Sometimes they want to outfit them with like certain scopes or certain accessories. Like you're gonna do that mostly in the store, but not always. And that's it's still happening now. Like you can order guns online and have them mailed to you. You can order your ammunition online and have it mailed to you.
That's
as long
insane.
as it's again legal and you're showing all of your proper paperwork. Yeah.
How often do the RCMP come and check on your gun storage?
I've never had a visit, but they certainly can.
And
as legal gun owners, we have to be prepared that they can knock on the door at any time and say, like, I need to check on your guns and see if they're stored.
That's crazy.
Normally, they only show up or they only take an interest if guns have gone missing or there's like a reported robbery or a break-in and there's a problem. Or I've had cases where someone's legally purchased gun ends up used in a crime. And now the police are knocking on the door and being like, where's the gun that's supposed to be in your safe? And why did we just arrest someone in another city? And it was in their satchel.
No, I
So
just got like,
that'll bring the police to your door real quick.
I just got like an anxiety boom right now, like from the police like coming to your door, and you didn't even notice that the shit was missing. You're like, what are you here for?
Like imagine your son like sold it or something.
Yeah.
Like your son gave it to his friend. That's crazy.
If let's say you have like a legally purchased firearm and it's used in a crime but not by you, are you as the gun owner still going to be held responsible, criminally responsible for that?
Depends.
Unlikely for the crime, but likely for failing to report that it was lost or stolen. We have a legal obligation to keep track of our guns.
So you might lose your license, your gun license for that, but you wouldn't be like criminally charged.
Unlikely, but again, I have to be so far removed from the person, and I have to explain like how it ended up in the crime, right? Because the reality is like I know where all my guns are stored. Like they're not just gonna go missing. There's no world in which someone is accidentally going to end up with my firearms.
And if there's connections, they're just gonna assume that you gave it to them.
For sure. And you're like, yeah, listen, take care of this problem for me.
Exactly.
Bring it back when you're done, and then you didn't bring it back.
Listen, this is why I'm glad that you're here, because there's a lot of clarity that we need when it comes to this, and our audience too. Like, there's a lot of stuff that people think that they know and don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I want to get a couple more stories, and then we can hit the road here. Project South. I need to talk about that.
Everybody's talking about that.
Yes.
Everybody. I can't go anywhere without anyone being like, talk to me about Project
I need to know what you think about this. So I'm gonna pull up a new news story. This is actually from the 16th, so it's not that new. But one take, Jake, if you could assist me over here, please.
Answering questions about alleged corruption on the Toronto Force, Mayor Olivia Chow was being asked if she has faith in the city's police and its chief.
Every day, Torontonians, their trust in police.
She loved that yellow jacket, man. Holy.
The chief of police has
She's
to
always
earn
in
that
that yellow
trust back
jacket.
by rooting out officers who have committed crimes.
While marking the 45th anniversary of Toronto's bathhouse raids, where trust in police was eroded after raids on gay establishments, Chow says DemQ again needs to address systemic issues within the force to earn back confidence.
We have to get to the bottom of how this could happen.
Chow, the police chief, and the head of the Police Services Board are all asking the province's Inspector General of Police to review the case. The Premier is calling it disturbing and disappointing and leaving it up to the courts to decide an outcome.
I don't want the public to lose trust in our great police, because they are incredible.
Too late, bud.
You know, there's always, as you say, any organization, there's always a few bad apples. And
while Ontario's Solicitor General, who oversees correctional services, including the member targeted in Project South's alleged murder plot, wouldn't comment. But the Liberal public safety critic did weigh in and is calling for a full judicial inquiry.
And there are guardrails. There are guardrails when it comes to evidence, when it comes to testimony, so that you know that the outcome is real, it's valid, it's legitimate.
The results of this investigation come at an awkward time for City Council, which is set to vote on a $90 million budget increase to the Toronto Police just next week. As whether the police still deserve the boost, the mayor says it was already negotiated and is a key part of the multi-year hiring plan.
All right. So no boost. Well, I don't think they need any boost. Well, not right now. So thoughts?
Well, they already got the boost. The mayor said that, yeah, they already negotiated the bread. They're going to get the increase, and it's too late, which is crazy. I feel like there should be, like, if something like this happens, there should be some sort of clause or something where it's like, okay, to penalize you guys as a whole. Because I don't know. I feel like just penalizing a few people isn't really setting the example.
Yeah. And the public trust part, too. I don't know. That's gone. I don't think that's up for question anymore.
It's not gonna
Are you
help.
asking me? I think that the public generally, and in communities that are not over policed, they haven't lost trust in the police. I think they see this as a few bad apples, whereas the communities who knew how corrupt the police have been and have always been are like, oh, finally, you're the whole world is seeing it. But the rest of society is like, oh, these like few bad apples. And one of the apples was so bad, his bail has been denied.
Yeah.
Like that's that to me was probably the most shocking in all of this.
So wait, which one was that? Was one of the cops or was
Yeah.
it one of the guards?
No, one of the officers.
Mm.
So we're gonna hear a lot. This was a very lengthy investigation. My understanding was like it was like an 18-month investigation that included not only wiretaps, but they had audio probes in the cops' cars.
Damn.
In the actual cruisers, and were listening in on the police involved in like very, very significant criminality.
Wow. I do have a question based on this whole thing.
Yes.
Because you have clients that have probably been accused of certain things. And then now one of the officers, the accusing officers, or arresting officers, I mean, is in Project South.
Yes.
What happens to their case? If they're in the middle of the case, and in the other scenario, if they've already been convicted of said case, of said crime, what happens?
So it depends on the role that the officer played, but if it was one that required his credibility,
yes.
if it was if it was like the exhibit officer, for example, or the affiant on a search warrant, the defense lawyer for sure should be challenging and saying we can't rely on anything, and therefore the whole case should be stayed.
Yeah.
That's one option. If he's already been convicted, he'll have to hire an appeal lawyer because the case won't just get automatically reopened.
Yeah.
And again, it depends on the role that the officer plays. If it's a minor role, if, for example, it was like his role was just to transport the accused from one location to another, and during the course of transport, there was the audio video in the cruiser that was always on, and so you're not going to be able to establish that this particular cop did something that was problematic that affected the case.
Yeah.
It's probably not going anywhere. But if it was, like I said, the officer who was like drafting the search warrant that the police used to enter the home and find, 3 kilos of fentanyl, that the Crown's going to have a really difficult problem establishing that he can be relied on.
Yikes.
It's going to completely gut cases in which they played an instrumental role in the actual investigation or evidence collection, especially evidence collection. Because there's evidence that these cops were using cocaine. There's evidence that these cops were like actively involved in stealing evidence as well as selling, information that they were obtaining, from their databases. They were charging money to just like run names.
Nasty work.
If there were
It's scary because all of our information is in the police database, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have a criminal record to be accessible. All of your information with the MTO, for example, like properties you own, cars you own, like everything about you as a person that can be stored in the database, the police are going to have access to.
I didn't even think about that part.
Right? Like it's just as ordinary citizens walking around. Like they don't just have access to criminal records. They have access to MTO.
Everybody's records.
Yeah.
Like if they wanted you and they had your license plate, all that to say is, run these, blah, blah, blah. And then they could find your address. They could probably find everything about you.
They could find your whole driving record.
They don't even need your license plate. They could the police can use your name and figure out what cars are registered to you and what the license plates are and what address you're registered to, and then provide that information.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
If it's shown that there were other officers who were aware or complicit in said officers' like criminal behavior, could those other officers also be held liable for not being honest or revealing that their fellow officer was committing crimes, but it's shown that you were aware that like XYZ was doing this?
I don't know that they wouldn't be charged criminally, right? Like if I know that someone is committing a crime, it doesn't mean that, I'm going to be charged with that crime unless I'm doing something to actually like assist them or facilitate them in committing the crime, or I have an agreement with them to commit the crime. So it wouldn't necessarily be a criminal charge. I would imagine it's a breach of duty under the Police Services Act. If you know that your fellow officer is, for example, like selling personal information to a criminal organization and you're not reporting it, you're not doing anything. I don't know. I don't defend police, so I'm not familiar enough with the Police Services Act, but in my mind, that's a breach of their duties as police officers. So I would think that there should be sanctioned, within the role of police officer as opposed to like being charged.
Weird emotions.
Yeah.
Probably a little suspended with pay.
But they're getting a raise apparently, so I feel like that doesn't help with the public trust. Where it's like, okay, all you guys just got caught up in a raid, and then now you guys are getting paid more.
And we're rewarding it with more money.
We have one of the highest paid police forces in North America.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. It's like $2 billion a year.
Toronto specifically, eh?
Yeah.
That's
Toronto has I think we have the highest paid police force in the country and one of the highest in all of North America.
Yeah, and you just reinforce so many reasons why, like you told us in the beginning, why you don't represent cops. Like, oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like a citizen who decided to do some criminal activity, but when you're like an officer of the law as a policeman, right? And now you decide to break the law, the amount of more work that you have to do as a defense lawyer is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. Like it's not even about you have to do more work. It's like I said at the beginning, I feel like in life we have to pick sides, right? Like you have to decide how you want to live your life. And there's codes to everything. And I think that, we talked earlier on about me not supporting perjury. So if a client tells me something, I can't put them on the stand to say something else because as an officer of the court, I'm not allowed to produce evidence that I know to be false.
Yeah.
Right? That's a line I'm not allowed to cross. And I think that when you're a police officer, there's lines you can't cross and shouldn't be crossing, And yes, they're human and they make mistakes, sure, but not in the course of your duties, not selling people's information to criminal organizations.
To kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even just like, go send a little, put an angry note in their mailbox or something. No, you're giving them information so you can take them off the earth. Like, you need to be charged to the utmost degree, in my opinion, more than the average criminal because you're there to defend us and you're literally breaching our trust by giving out this information.
Paid for by our hard-earned tax dollars that we're all paying. We pay their salary and have an expectation that they are going to serve and protect. That's their tagline, to serve and protect.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be serving and protecting the public that pays you and not those that you're supposed to be protecting the public from.
Exactly.
That's so twisted.
It's frightening.
Yeah. Listen, man, again, there's no salutes to anybody at the end of this segment because it's just nasty people. Okay, I got one more thing for us and then we could touch the road here. There was a post that's been floating around about the 2012 YNs versus, I'll just say 2012 kids to 2026, right? I'll pull this up courtesy of Creative Canada, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Creative Canada. Okay, and this is like, I guess, something that's going around on Twitter. 2012 YNs would scare 2026 YNs. In 2012, YNs in 2012 are chill, but can't flip a switch. But can flip a switch, my bad. And in 2026 YNs just straight on 10 for no reason. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it here. 2012, the look was scary. 2026 is more dangerous because they will pull a trigger for clout videos and less smart than the 2012 YNs. Basically, you guys get the point, right? There's arguments people are making saying, I guess, the 2012 guys are just not even close to as risk takers and as dangerous as the 2026. Do you all agree?
I think in 2012 there was rules.
I was about to say that
structure.
as well. There
was a reason that things happened, and there was an order to things. So you couldn't just walk into a neighborhood and do whatever you wanted to do. You needed permission from the people that you were working with in order to do that. I do think that in 2026, kids are more reckless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that codes have progressively, I guess, been removed from street culture. Like Ashley was saying, like before you have to kind of like move a certain way or like stay within a certain line, a certain hierarchy. Now people will crash out just for the sake of crashing out, for the sake of views and clout. So, I wouldn't say that the 2026 YNs are like, more scarier. But I just feel like they have like less to lose. And like Instagram and stuff wasn't as prevalent back then. So they have more to prove these days,
Yeah, I would say they're definitely more brazen. And I also think the 2012 younger generation, they were a little more well-rounded as humans. Like I felt like the 2012 gangsters, like, they might be like sick at basketball low-key, or like they have like more skills just as a human, and then they also do their thuggery. You know, whereas I feel like the ones now, it's like they don't have that well-roundedness. It's just like on go 24/7, you know, like they're just thinking about what's in front of them. Whereas I felt like the 2012 youngins were a little more adept to like socially adjust and like be able to communicate with like wider demographics. Whereas now, like, it's hard to talk to some of these youngins. Like, you can't have a conversation with them.
I agree with everything that all of y'all are saying, but I do have a little bit of pushback. And maybe I'm not thinking of 2012. I'm thinking about earlier in my time, like the early 2000s. There was a lot of shit that we were getting away with because there was no social media. So, like, we were way more aggressive, like, oh, you say something, like, wait till I actually see you because I'm going to see you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I feel like that was a little scarier than like people chirping at each other online. And I know shit gets crazy after people chirp to each other online, but there was no barrier of the chirping. It was just like, you say something, just be careful when you go outside.
But I feel like back then it was easier to avoid people, you know, because like now it's kind of difficult for someone not to have your low. You know, especially if you're always posting, they could just see something in the background and be like, oh, he's over there, I could catch it. And every app is like, do you want to turn your location on and off? And then people could see exactly where you are at all times. So I feel like if you want to get to somebody, it's way easier today than it was back in the day. Like back in the day, you can move to another city and then they just don't know where you went. You know what I mean? But now if you move to another city, I see which city you're at and I'm, you know what I mean? Like, so I do see what you're saying as well. I don't know. It's probably like apples to oranges.
No, you're right too, because the fact that social media exists means more people can know about each other.
Yeah.
So now it's a thing like, okay, I know about this guy. Now we have issues with each other. We don't even live on the same side of town, whatever. Where it's like back in the days when social media wasn't as prevalent, we didn't even know as much people.
Yeah.
So it's like our beefs were less. They were bad, but there was less beef to have because like we could only have beef within the circumference of places that we go.
Yeah, now we've like globalized beef. Like you could really have some beef with someone across the world. It could be a serious smoke. Like
yeah.
I've seen like YouTube breakdowns where mans would be gaming and it would get so heated that they would find out where this person lives and actually pull up on them, you know, like it gets that crazy. So
like no, there wasn't any YouTubers. I don't know if it was gamers, or they could have been gamer YouTubers.
Oh, no,
where they linked up in Las Vegas somewhere, and
that's a different
got
story. Yeah, that's a different
story, right?
Yeah.
So this is multiple incidents where mans actually link up because of their videos. We didn't have that option back in like 2012. I guess the option was kind of there, but Instagram was like for posting food at that point. You know what I'm saying? We can just bang at each other on Facebook, maybe.
And even like these days, I feel like it's probably easier to get a gun. Because back in the day, you just had to know somebody. You know what I mean? It's not like now you could go on like any app. Well, not any app, but like there's like Telegram, there's like all the like Snapchat, all these apps that you could go on and have access to marketplaces. You know what I mean? That you wouldn't have had access to as a kid back in like the 2010, like early 2010s, early 2000s. You have to go on like the black, like the dark web or something, the black market, you know?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, it surprises me so much sometimes the people that end up in my office charged with firearm possession. And I'm like, you look like you spend your time in the library. I don't understand. Like, how do you have a gun? Like, and I don't ask, but you know, in my head, I'm like, it's not the typical demographic from what it was like 10 or 12 years ago, for sure. Now it's everybody.
Yeah. I feel like before in the 2012 era, even before, it was like a specialized lifestyle where it's like only specific minority of people would go down that route. But now it's like the 50-50 people that could have gone that route, but could have been good youths. They're choosing to like go like the bad boy way. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before those 50-50, they might have been in basketball, soccer, they might have tried to do music or something. Now it's like, if you want to be respected and you're competing with like other grade 11s and grade 12s that have straps and you guys are going for the same girls, it's like, I kind of have to get a strap just to be like socially accepted.
Even if you're not a guy like that, like I'm not going to use it. But like if I don't have it and like I want to be cool amongst the girls and they know all of the mandem that they're into, they have it on them and they're willing to use it, I could at least just pretend. I got it on me.
It'll
like,
boost you up in their eyes.
It's so twisted though, fam.
That's scary.
Yes.
That's scary to think that it's like become like a social status and something that women, like young girls, are looking for.
Yes.
Well, it's because of like the lifestyle that comes with, like, back in my day when I was in high school and university, I could wear like Polo Ralph Lauren and I'm blessed, I'm good. But these days you need like Rick Owens, Amiri, all these like super, super expensive brands. So I couldn't imagine being in high school working like a minimum wage job.
You couldn't do it.
Literally. So I feel like that's why they kind of resort to these things so they can make 50 bands on a hit. And then they could go and like flex at school and stuff. You know, like it is very sad and unfortunate.
I get a Louis belt for 15,000.
Like, it's so stupid.
I feel like our generation, we valued merit more. So even if someone wasn't too well dressed or cool, it's like, okay, he's sick at like drawing or something, you know, and we would rate that guy like he's the drawing guy, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like now people don't have those quirks or those nuances that people value. It's always just like, is he about it or is he not about it? Is he a miskeen or is he, you know, about that life? Like, it's just like black and white now, you know? It's like binary. Whereas like before, it's like everyone had their own little thing and you would specialize in something.
No, it's a different time, man. I guess I would have to agree with the 2026 YNs being the bigger or scarier, they were saying, because they just got way more things to prove than we did.
They're just more unpredictable. And I think that's what will make someone scary.
And I think the world in general is just scarier now than it was. Like in 2012, all you had to do was like, we were just thinking the world was going to end, you know, and then it didn't. And then we just went on about our lives and everything was blessed. But now we're worried about World War III. We're worried about E-list. We're worried about like, is the president, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things going on right now. I couldn't imagine being in high school.
It's true. There's a lot of anxiety,
you know?
And then there's a lot of doom scrolling and everything.
Exactly.
Everybody's just like looking at their phone and feeling that anxiety, and then taking that anxiety into the real world.
I'm not gonna lie. I would feel, if I was in high school right now, I'd feel like an air of hopelessness. Like, I feel like, you know, like we're not important right now. There's too many things going on in the world. Whereas when we were in high school and things were ending, like, we still felt like we were the center of the world a little bit, you know, like people actually cared about like seeing you succeed at like 17, 18. Now it's like, bro, you're 18. Like, shut up. No one cares about the youth. Like,
no, we're going into a wild time. Listen, I guess in closing, I could just say, everybody, just make sure to take care of yourselves and your families, because like social media is not the real world. You know what I'm saying? Once you like get out of your phone or whatever, like you still got to deal with the real world. So, and it brings us full circle. Everything that we spoke about today, like this shit is not the real world.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So don't go take penitentiary risks for a few likes.
Facts.
I think we could wrap it here for today. Jordana, what do you got coming up that we can let the people know about? Like, you know, as a content creator, you know, episodes of the podcast, any
Absolutely.
guests?
Yeah, I've got some fabulous guests. I just released the episode on Friday with Melissa Landsman. Don't know who that is. She is the co-deputy leader of the Conservative Party. So we had some really interesting conversations about the state of the world, the state of addiction as well. Was a big topic of ours.
Nice.
So anyone interested in any of these topics should check out the podcast, Who Judges the Judge? And then I always try to bring value to my social media. I try to give people access and information to what's happening from a social justice perspective, as well as policing. So always interesting to check me out there at Jordana Goldlist.
I always learn a lot from, like, besides the podcast, like when you just do like the single post when you're like, hey, if you get stopped by police, insert the blank type shit.
Yes.
I always get so much information from those. So thank you.
I love that. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm
gonna play some music for the road to take us out here.
We
Thanks
love
for
hip
watching.
hop.
If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out these other videos on the screen and make sure to like and subscribe.
We love hip hop.